Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Legal Gym Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me here today, where we're going to be talking about whether you need to hire a trademark lawyer to help you with your trademark application. So we've been talking a lot in the past couple weeks about all things trademarks, and so I think it makes sense to do this episode today to talk about whether or not this is something you can do on your own or whether or not this is something where you might need some help. Now, if you want to get the show notes for today's episode, which will include all the links and resources for everything that I'm going to be talking about today, make sure you head on over to hawthornelaw.net/25. That's the number 25, and that's where you'll find all the resources that we refer to. So let's go ahead and dive into today's content. Before we get into the amazing content for today's episode, I wanted to let you know about a new training that I'm working on. I'm going to be teaching my 4R framework to get your trademarks registered quickly and easily. In addition, I'll be sharing the top 3 mistakes that I see online entrepreneurs make that can sabotage their brand and even force them into bankruptcy. So if you want to sleep better at night knowing that your brand is protected, you definitely don't want to miss this training. Just head on over to hawthornelaw.net/trademark to get notified when the training is live. One more time, that's hawthornelaw.net/trademark. And don't forget, everyone who attends this training is going to get a free gift. So if you're an entrepreneur who is building a brand online, this is one training you don't want to miss. One more time, head on over to hawthornelaw.net/trademark to get signed up for the notification list today. All right, so there are a couple things that I want to talk about today in terms of whether or not you need a trademark lawyer for your trademark application. And so there's 6 major topics that I really want to cover in today's episode. I want to start by talking about why hiring a trademark lawyer might be important. Then we're going to go into what can happen if you handle your trademark application on your own and potential pitfalls that you might run into. Next, we're going to talk about how a trademark lawyer can actually help you. And then we're going to talk about what that means for you to hire a trademark lawyer and how that might work out better for you with your business. Then we can talk about who should use a trademark attorney and who shouldn't use a trademark attorney. And then finally, what you should be looking for if you decide that hiring a trademark lawyer might be what you want to do for your business. So let's get started here with why hiring a trademark lawyer is important. Well, the first reason is that trademark applications are what I like to call deceptively complicated. What do I mean by that? I mean that there's a lot of little issues and nuances to filing a trademark application that, although they seem pretty clear at first glance, they actually are anything but. And so you want to make sure you get these things right, because if you get them wrong, then it's going to trigger what's called an office action or even an outright denial of your trademark application. So that's the first reason, is that trademark applications are deceptively complicated. And I'm going to talk about the areas where you can mess up a trademark application in a little bit here in today's episode as well. The second reason why trademark lawyers are helpful and important is that they can help you do what's called a comprehensive search. Now, this is the first thing you should be doing if you're even thinking about using a name for your business as a trademark or filing your own trademark application, is you really need to do a comprehensive search. And the reason you want to do that is because you really want to make sure there's no other names out there that are already registered that might cause a likelihood of confusion denial with your trademark application. And so a trademark attorney can help you by doing a comprehensive search. And any trademark attorney that tells you they don't need to do a comprehensive search for you, well, I would look the other direction. So those are the 2 main reasons why hiring a trademark lawyer is important. Number 1, because trademark applications are deceptively complicated. Number 2, that they can help you do a comprehensive search. So what can happen if you do it yourself? I mean, how bad can it really be? Well, I've known numerous people, and I've actually had a lot of clients that have come to me after they messed up their own trademark application, wishing they had just started with us from the beginning. Because if you do this on your own, number 1, you're wasting money potentially. It's not that much money, but it's still, there's some money because there's the government filing fees that you have to pay that are non-refundable if your trademark gets rejected or abandoned or whatever. That money is not coming back to you. It's just gone. So number 1, you've got the trademark filing fees that you're going to have to deal with. Number 2, you're wasting a lot of time because a trademark takes between 12 to 16 months, and that's good year to get registered and to process through the system. And so if you spend that 12 months trying to work on your own application just to find out that you've got a name that is not capable of registration because of whatever reason that the trademark office decides to use for your denial, then you're going to be kicking yourself because now you've got to start back at the very beginning of the drawing board. And it's going to take you another 12 to 16 months. And during that time, aside from the fact, like I said, that you've paid this filing fee for an application that you're not going to be able to use, you've lost your spot in line. So the trademark office is a first to file system, which means the first application to get filed for a certain name is going to have priority for that name. And if you went through a whole year and with one name and you messed it up and you realized you messed it up and you decided that you wanted to refile it, but somebody else decided to file for that same name, but maybe they got a denial and they said, well, no, this is likely to be confused with this other mark that's currently in the application process, and so your mark is not going to be able to go through. So if they do that and then your mark drops off, your application drops out of the system, now all of a sudden that other mark that filed after you, they have priority because you've lost your spot in line. So it's kind of like you're waiting. Like, let's say you are waiting in line to go on a roller coaster and you're waiting for like 2 hours and you're almost there and you're waiting with one of your kids and your kid's like, you know what, Dad, I got to go to the bathroom. True story. This happened. And it's like, okay, well, can you just wait until we're done with the ride here? No, I got to go now. And it's like, well, okay, now you got to get out of line. And all those people that got in line after you, now they've got priority. And so you actually have to get out of line and go to the very back and start over from scratch. And that's the same way it is with your trademark application. If your trademark application gets rejected or you abandon it or whatever happens, you lose your spot in line. Anyone who filed after you for the same mark is going to have priority. So let's talk about how a trademark lawyer might be able to help you in these situations to avoid this lost time, this lost money, and all these things. Well, first of all, a trademark lawyer is going to be able to help you by doing a comprehensive search. And like I said, this is the most important thing that has to happen at the very beginning of the process is you have to do a comprehensive search to make sure there's no other names that are deceptively similar to your name. Now, it does not have to be an exact match name. It can be a name that sounds very similar to yours. I heard the example from another attorney that there's a company called I think it's Blue Apron, and they do grocery delivery services, and so they had the registered trademark for Blue Apron. And Starbucks, of all places, tried to register Green Apron. Now, you can imagine why they would do this because Starbucks, all the baristas, usually have a green apron on. So I can understand why they would want that name for their brand. And so they tried to register that name, Green Apron, when there was already an existing trademark for Blue Apron, and it got denied. And it got denied because it was likely to be confused with Blue Apron. And even though they were not the same trademark, they were close enough in the way their names sounded that the trademark office decided that somebody could be confused thinking that they were purchasing from Blue Apron when in fact they were purchasing from Green Apron. So that's the number one reason that a trademark lawyer can help is with this comprehensive search. The other thing a trademark lawyer can do with this comprehensive search, now you might be able to go and hire a company to do a search for you. That's fine. They're going to give you back a report that's going to be anywhere from 50 to 400 word or 400 pages with all these different results for all these different potential trademarks that might actually be problematic for you. Well, a lawyer can go through and review all those trademarks and actually analyze your trademark to give you a probability of success on your application. And if you think about it, this is incredibly valuable because this can actually save you going through an application process for a year just to have your trademark get denied. So that's the very first way a trademark lawyer can help is they'll be able to do that comprehensive search and then review and analyze those results to give you a legal opinion in terms of whether or not they think that you'll be able to register that name for that potential trademark. So that's number one. Number two is they're going to be able to review your application, make sure it's filled out correctly, make sure you've got the right owner information, make sure you've got the proper classes in your application, make sure that they've drafted a description that's accurate for what you're selling or intend to sell. And those things are very important because these are all areas, the ownership information, the class information, and the description information, where a lot of people make mistakes. And you don't want to do that because with the description in particular, you can pare that description down. You can delete certain goods or services from your description, but you can't make it more broad than it is when you file your application without filing a second trademark application. The same is true with the classes. If you include 2 or 3 classes on your initial application and you decide you want to remove some, you can remove them. But if you want to file new classes, you have to actually file a separate trademark application. And so that's where a trademark lawyer can help. They can make sure that number 1, your descriptions are good, and number 2, you're in the right classes for what it is that you are selling or intend to sell. The next thing a lawyer can do is they will monitor your application through the process, or at least they should monitor your application through the process and give you periodic updates to let you know where things stand with your application. If you should receive an office action, so an office action is basically where the examining attorney from the trademark office either needs some clarification on an issue, they need you to amend your application in a certain way, or there's other things that can happen through what's called an office action. Alternatively, the examining attorney can reject your application outright, and they can issue an office action for that and say, well, we did a search, and there's this other mark that's deceptively similar to yours that's likely to cause confusion in the marketplace. And so we're going to go ahead and reject your application. Or they could say that your mark is too descriptive, so we're going to go ahead and reject your application. An attorney can actually monitor and then review and respond to these office actions on your behalf, so you don't have to worry about that. And then the final way an attorney can help is at the very last part of the trademark process is your trademark needs to be published. And it only happens in about 1% of cases, but it is possible that somebody will file an opposition proceeding. And what that means is your trademark's been through the entire gamut of everything up to this point, and somebody's decided that they think that your application for your trademark is too similar to their existing trademark, and they don't want your trademark to register. So this is kind of like if you're at a wedding and when the priest or the minister or whoever says, speak now or forever hold your peace. This is kind of like the same thing with trademarks, is it's your last chance to object to a trademark before it registers. And it doesn't happen very often, but if it does happen, it's bad. And expensive. So a lawyer can help you deal with opposition proceedings if they come up and help negotiate some sort of settlement potentially with the other side. Benefit you to use a lawyer? Well, if you use a lawyer, you don't have to worry about the process. You basically are putting into the lawyer's hands to deal with it, and it's something that you don't really have to worry about. You can just get your updates from the lawyer, and if they have questions for you, you can answer their questions, but you can focus on what you do best, and that is actually your business. And then for a relatively small investment up front, you're going to have an asset in your trademark that will increase the value of your business exponentially over time. So who should actually use a trademark attorney? Well, in my opinion, anyone who has a name that's borderline, that could be considered descriptive, or anyone who has a name that is maybe pretty common, and there might be other people that are using that name in the marketplace that maybe you're not ready to do a comprehensive search, or you're not sure about the results of your search if there's another name that's too similar to yours. Anyone like that should probably use an attorney to help them with this process. Anyone who's not comfortable with the legal process, I always tell people, there's a lot of people out there who feel comfortable trying to register their trademark on their own. And there's other people out there that don't. They just need somebody to hold their hand and walk them through the process and let them know everything is okay. If you're that type of person, then you probably should hire a trademark attorney to help you, because you're not comfortable with the legal process. You're not comfortable with the nuances that come from handling that application on your own, and you're afraid of what's going to happen if you mess things up. If that sounds like you, then you probably need to hire a trademark lawyer. The third class of people that really should use a trademark attorney are people who understand that they're good at some things, but they're not good at other things. In filing a trademark application, is not a black and white process. It's not a simple thing to do like starting an LLC or opening a bank account. Those things are pretty straightforward. The trademark process is not. It's anything but straightforward. There's a lot of nuance to it. There's a lot of subjectivity to it. You may need an attorney to help you meander through that system, that process. If you do think that you maybe need to hire a lawyer, what are some of the things that you should be looking for in a lawyer? I would say the first and foremost, is you want to look for an attorney that does flat fees. I've heard horror stories of attorneys that work at big firms who, you don't even get an application filed without spending $5,000 to $10,000 in legal fees, because these lawyers, they work on very high hourly rates. They have legal assistants that also have high hourly rates, and they're incentivized to bill more money to the firm from their clients. And so you should be thinking about that. Now, I'm not saying that these are not good attorneys. I'm not saying that you're not going to get good service. I'm just saying it's going to be pricey. So in terms of pricing models, maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't, but somebody at one point told me there are 3 things in this world that you can get when you're purchasing a service. You can get fast, you can get cheap, and you can get good. But you can only have 2 of those things. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. You can get fast and you can get cheap, but chances are, if that's what you're getting, you're probably not getting a very good product. You can get fast and you can get a good product, but chances are, if somebody has to do something fast and they're doing a really good job, they're going to charge a premium price for that. And then finally, you can get good and you can get cheap. But again, this is something where it's not going to be very fast, because you're not paying enough for the fast service. So those are the 3 things. So when you're talking about trademark attorneys, you're probably looking for a lawyer that's fast and good. And the reason I say that is because time is of the essence with your trademark application. You want a lawyer that can get your trademark application from hire to filed in 2 weeks or less. And if they cannot promise that, if they say that may not be something we can do, then you probably want to look elsewhere. Now, yes, this is going to be a little bit more pricey than someone that says, it's going to take us about a month to get your trademark application filed. But assuming everything goes right and you respond to everything the lawyer asks you to do, then you should have that application filed within 2 weeks, and for relatively good value. The next thing you want to look from an attorney is that they're doing a comprehensive search for you and then preparing you an opinion letter on the merits of that search. And that opinion letter should indicate how likely you are to get it registered. With my law firm, the way we do it is we do a comprehensive search. We do write the opinion letter. And if for some reason that opinion letter, we find that we really don't think that you're going to be able to get that trademark registered, then we will do a second search for you, and that second search will be free. Now, the next thing you want to look for from trademark attorneys is you want to look for all-inclusive pricing. So ideally, your trademark attorney is going to include all of their office actions, responding to all those office actions in the pricing they're offering you. If they don't, then you should ask them up front, what's it going to cost if we get a substantive office action? What's it going to cost if we get a non-substantive office action? And so you want to know that. At my law firm, we do offer all-inclusive pricing, which includes all office actions as part of the initial flat fee that you pay the firm. So there's no additional fee that you're going to have to pay later on. It's all included when in that all-inclusive pricing at the very beginning. Again, I already mentioned speed. You want to make sure that that firm can get your application filed within 2 weeks. And then lastly, and most lawyers really will not do this, and that is offer a guarantee. This is something we offer all our clients for our trademark applications. We will provide you with 100% refund if we tell you that your mark is going to register, but then it doesn't. Or we will do another application for you, and it's your choice what you would like to do. We can offer that because we're fairly confident in our searching capabilities and also in filing the applications that we file. We just know that when we file those applications, we're pretty confident that they're going to register a trademark. And if they don't, you get a refund. So you have some certainty that's baked into the process with our firm. If you are interested in learning more about how to legally claim the rights to your brand, then you're going to want to schedule a free branding strategy call with me. That's right. For a limited time, I'm offering a free strategy call to talk with me about the branding for your online business and how to make sure it is legally protected. So if you'd like to learn more, head on over to hawthornelaw.net/TM-video. Once again, that's hawthornelaw.net/TM-video. On that landing page, we have lots of great information about the process of protecting your brand so that you don't have to worry about getting a cease and desist letter or being forced to rebrand your business at a great expense. Once again, that website is hawthornelaw.net/TM-video, and I look forward to talking with you soon. All right, all you Legal Gym listeners, now that you know more about whether to hire a trademark lawyer for your application, you are ready to implement. Because if there's one thing we love to do over here at the Legal Gym, it's to take massive action. So if you haven't already, make sure to check out the show notes page for today's episode. You can get a rundown of all the links and resources we talked about here today by visiting hawthornelaw.net/25. Once again, that's hawthornelaw.net/25. That's going to be the home base for all of your legal and business tools and resources to help you start, build, and of course, legally protect your online business. Thank you so much for listening today, and I look forward to seeing you or talking with you in the next episode.